What's going on, guys? My name is Wade with TechDaily, and in this video, we are checking out the new Nubia REDMAGIC 7S Pro. This phone recently launched in China, but it's now available worldwide. It's a slight upgrade and refresh to the REDMAGIC 7 Pro from earlier this year, and if you're looking for an over-the-top, fully spec'd out smartphone made for gaming, this is the device for you. In fact, this phone is an amalgamation of every smartphone feature you can think of, and probably stuff you never even thought of. Everything from a see-through back and RGB lights to active cooling, customizable gaming triggers, up to 18 gigs of RAM, and a hidden invisible selfie camera, amongst plenty of other crazy features. If you're interested in learning more about the REDMAGIC 7S Pro, I'll leave a link to Nubia's website down below in the video description. The phone is going to start at $729 and go up from there depending on your configuration and where in the world you live, but I'll have some links to the cheapest current prices down there as well. So before we get into all the bells and whistles with this device, let's go ahead and just quickly unbox it so I can show you what all comes inside the package. And I have to say, Nubia does a great job with the artwork and design of their boxes. There's no doubt this is a gaming device, and while other companies are delivering slim, boring boxes, Nubia gives you something pretty cool. So sliding off the lid, the first thing we see is a thick cardboard packet of stuff with the holographic REDMAGIC logo there, and inside there's a SIM ejector tool if you need it, along with a little warranty booklet and a pretty interesting smoky clear rubber case for the phone, almost more of a bumper with that big cutout down the middle, but still something to keep your device protected. Next up is the phone itself, of course, and we'll take a closer look at that in just a second. At the very bottom, Nubia also included some pretty nice charging accessories. You get a thick, bright red USB-C cable and a USB-C wall plug that supports 65 watt super fast charging, so definitely great to have both of those. With all that stuff out of the way, here is the new REDMAGIC 7S Pro once again. Now this phone comes in a few very unique colors and finishes: Obsidian, Supernova, Mercury, and Yellow. Mine here is the Supernova with the transparent rear cover, which is really cool. We'll take a look at all that stuff in a minute. Physically though, the new REDMAGIC 7S Pro is once again a fairly large 6.8-inch smartphone, and you might notice this thing is all screen. Up top, there's no visible selfie camera. Nubia went with their under-display invisible selfie setup, and unless you're looking at this phone at a very obscure angle, it's super tough to see, no matter what's on screen. It doesn't matter if it's dark, light, colors, whatever, there's very little hint or even shadow of any kind, and you can really only see the camera if you shine a bright light directly at the screen with it off. Nubia, and by extension ZTE, have done a great job improving this under-display camera tech over the years, and on a phone like this, where selfie pics are likely not the top priority, it totally makes sense. You get greater than an 87% screen-to-body ratio with minimal bezels all around, and essentially a distraction-free viewing experience. The downside is that if you do want to take a selfie pic, the preview, the viewfinder, still isn't very good. It's a bit hazy and blurry. If the setting is bright, it's very hard to see. The actual selfie pictures, with all the software and AI help, aren't bad though. Not very detailed, but clear enough to get the shot if you need it. But like I said, for a phone like this, the selfie camera really isn't a concern. In the hand, this thing feels big. It feels chunky, it feels heavy, it feels thick. It's a large device all around. But with all that screen and all the extras crammed inside this thing, I'm okay with that too. Around back, like I mentioned, the fit and finish of the 7S Pro is sort of a semi-transparent setup. You've got this aluminum strip down the middle with the REDMAGIC logo, which is cool, and along the sides, you can kind of pick out the different elements of the innards of the phone. There's a built-in fan for cooling, the Snapdragon processor, the battery, all labeled and all very much visible. And by the way, when the fan is on, it's got some RGB lights that illuminate, which you can see there too. All in all, this is a very unique looking device. I think it looks awesome, and it very much fits the gaming vibe it's going for. Also, it's all premium materials, glass back, aluminum frame, so not only does it look cool, but it still offers that high-end fit and finish. Taking a look around, this phone has a lot of physical features that stand out. On the left side, there's a switch that you might think is a notification switch or silencer, but it's actually a shortcut to the REDMAGIC gaming dashboard, Game Space, with a list of all your gaming apps, various usage stats, performance settings, essentially your gaming hub. On the right side, familiar power and volume buttons, but above that is the exhaust vent for the fan. You can see the fan spinning there with the lights on, and the air intake vent on the back. And also on the side of the the phone are the two touch-sensitive trigger pads. We've seen these before. You can set them up to be in-game buttons for easy controls, and I'll demo that in just a bit. At the top of the phone, the headphone jack is still there alongside one of the out loud speakers. There's a second speaker at the bottom alongside the USB-C port, of course, and your SIM card tray at the bottom as well. Unfortunately, no expandable storage with this phone, which I think is just about the only thing it doesn't have. And around back, like I said, the fan, a couple of vents, and a triple lens camera setup, which I'll talk more about later. Underneath the display, the 7S Pro does have a fingerprint sensor, and just in my initial tests here, it seems perfectly fine, quick to set up, easy to use, fast and accurate to wake and unlock the device. I haven't noticed any issues with it at all. The display itself is a bold and colorful AMOLED panel coming in at the full HD 2400 by 1080 resolution, packing in some 387 pixels per inch, and it is a 120 Hz display as well, with even a little more specifically for gaming. Visually, I think this is a pretty decent looking display. It's sharp, it's punchy. I unfortunately don't believe it's nearly as bright as Nubia advertises, and there doesn't seem to be too substantial of an enhanced auto brightness for outdoor viewing, for example, so that's my biggest complaint. Obviously though, the 120 Hz high refresh rate makes this phone feel super fast and ultra responsive, but actually for gaming, the touch sampling rate can be clocked up to 960 Hz. Now most people wouldn't ever need something like that, but if gaming is what you do and you want an edge with your taps and inputs, that's an impressive stat for sure. From start to finish, this is a big, bold, sharp looking display with, of course, no selfie camera in sight, giving you a seamless, distraction-free viewing experience, and I think what Nubia offers here is fairly top of the line. The out loud speaker setup is also pretty great. You get the two full-sized speakers, one at the top and one at the bottom, rather than a tiny slit with an earpiece speaker, and I think that does make a difference. It's loud, it's crisp, there's full sound, and here's a quick sample so you can hear it for yourself. Inside, this is where the 7S Pro sees its main spec bump. This phone is now powered by the new Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1 processor, a bit faster and more powerful than the standard 8 Gen 1, and this phone can be configured with 12, 16, or even 18 gigs of RAM, and 256 or 512 gigs or up to 1 terabyte of storage. Here are the updated Geekbench scores for this phone with this processor. Pretty impressive for sure. This device is no doubt about as powerful as you can get in 2022. And while just browsing the usual everyday apps and things feels plenty fast, obviously, the real reason to opt for this phone is for its gaming performance. Now, not only will this phone be able to handle just about every title at its max settings and highest graphic configurations, but you also get a whole bunch of add-ons, tweaks, and extras with Nubia's gaming panel. You can adjust the processor performance, record your gameplay, boost the touch sampling rate and sensitivity, set the edge detection limits, the GPU performance, the color, the visuals, and most importantly, you can set up those custom touch triggers on the phone to be whatever buttons or controls in-game that you like. These are awesome. They've been on previous gaming-specific devices, and they absolutely give you almost an unfair advantage in some of these games. They're super accurate, they're easy to reach and feel for, you can set them up however you like. It's probably my favorite thing about a gaming device like this, honestly, and gaming is the whole reason to consider this device. Sure, it's a fast, everyday smartphone. Nubia delivers this device with next to no bloatware, relatively clean Android experience with obviously their own take on the REDMAGIC 5.5 skin, but besides scrolling through Instagram, I think a vast majority of people will be getting this phone to play the best mobile games at the highest settings possible, and will expect to maybe even be competitive on this phone. And this is the phone made specifically for that. Also, just like with the regular 7 Pro, the 7S Pro packs in a large 5,000 mAh battery inside. Paired with 65 watt wired charging for the international market, you can expect some 12 to 14 hours of screen on time at least, and a quick charge from 0 to 100% in about 30 minutes. Unfortunately, there's no wireless charging here on this device, which kind of makes sense given the fan and lights and aluminum plate down the middle. The rest of the battery and charging setup seems pretty solid. Finally, when it comes to the cameras, Nubia seems to have just brought brought over the same hardware as before. We once again get the triple lens setup consisting of a 64 megapixel f1.8 aperture main lens, an 8 megapixel 120 degree ultra wide, and a 2 megapixel macro for up close pics. Inside the camera app, Nubia offers actually one of the widest selections of filters, tools, shooting modes, features, and add-ons that I've ever seen. Some are obviously more useful than others, but a lot here isn't what you'd normally find on some other devices. There's plenty of regular old pro shooting modes as well, including fairly robust manual controls and up to 8K video recording, which is definitely something you'd find on a $1,000 plus flagship phone. All in all, while nothing has really changed in the camera department, I think there's enough here still that keeps this phone in the upper echelon of devices competitively, but considering where this phone is positioned in the market as a gaming device specifically, the camera setup to me isn't likely a main concern. Nubia has once again delivered one of the most over-the-top smartphones I've personally seen with this 7S Pro, and it's geared towards gamers in every way possible. It's a fun and funky looking phone with active cooling, the highest end processor available now, more RAM than you'll probably ever need, an invisible selfie camera, and all the gaming software add-ons and hardware add-ons too that will absolutely give you an edge. If mobile gaming is your thing, this is absolutely the smartphone for you in my opinion. But what do you guys think about the new Nubia REDMAGIC 7S Pro? Let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts, of course. But hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. Be sure to follow TechDaily on Twitter and subscribe to the TechDaily YouTube channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys later.